Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Adapt the Canvas with me, Kay, for another hour of the creator's mindset. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm looking forward to, thank you. I'm looking forward to another jam-packed session tonight, and I'm going to wait for the room to fill up a bit, and then we've got another announcement, but more of the same. And let's see where we take this show tonight. So big up Cubics, big up Simon, Gary, Hyper Focus, DMB, Blame, Blake. Let's look at some of the few beginning ones. Samuel, Matrix, Beckstar. Welcome, guys. Good to have you back. Simon, Indigo. Great. Some familiar people joining. I guess everybody will come in again. Remember, the replays are available on YouTube. So Adapt the Canvas on YouTube. You can check the replays. You can check the replays on my Facebook page. But I would advise you all to join the new ATC community page, where these conversations are being taken to the next level. So I announced it last week, and we've got something like 60, 70 people joined already. It's a free platform. We're having some great conversations on there already. So if you're a creator and you're looking to develop, you're looking to take these conversations to the next level, you're enjoying what we're doing here, I invite you to join our community page. The link is in the bio if you're on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, the link is the first pinned post. Follow the link, join, sign up. It's free. Introduce yourself. Let's start building. We're doing coffee morning, Friday morning this week, and there's going to be courses, workshops, there's quizzes, there's stuff to help you grow, things to help you think about things in a different way. Join the community, grow, and let's take it to the next level. Check out adaptthecanvas.com, where you can sign up for the newsletter there, and there's information about other courses that we're doing there. But for now, join the community page, grow, learn, share. We're taking this thing to the next level. So just wanted to give you that update on that, and just thank everybody who came out on Saturday to Soul in Motion. We had a great night there. Lemon D, Lynx, Doc Scott, myself and Need for Mirror's Cloud Lord. Great night. So thank you to everybody who came out and joined that. Quick announcement, new music coming very soon. So I know people have been asking when some new music coming. Very soon. Just a quick preface on that. And if you're in some of these networks where I've got your details and your emails, I will let you know first when the new projects are landing, and especially we'll find out how you can get involved in that as well. So, welcome to Adapt the Canvas. Good to have you here. Good to see some familiar names show up again. Thank you for continuing to come back and to support what this platform's about and what we're trying to achieve here, which is inform creatives. Inform creatives about what's possible. Inform creatives about how to take their careers to that next level. And what is that next level? What is available for you? So I want to share with you a bit about my story and how I came to do what I'm doing, and how this work has elevated my story, a little bit about the successes that I've had with my career using some of these ideas, some of these techniques, and a way for you to start implementing some of these ideas and taking your dreams, your ideas to a specific area. I don't want to keep using the word next level because it's not specific enough and it doesn't really tell you much. It just says next level. Next level to what? Right? So you want to earn more money. You want to create a business, a brand, a product, a service that serves people. When we say next level, it's good if we get specific. What exactly is the next level for you? What does the next level look like, sound like, feel like? We can get some specificity, we can get some visuals, we can get some feeling involved in it, we can get some direction. It helps you get there. And when we're doing these sessions, I would like and invite you guys to think about what it is that you turn up for. Do you need more clarity? Do you need more consistency? Do you need accountability? Do you want to be involved in a community where you can find out, how to change your beliefs, how to change your patterns? Do you feel like you need support? Like, that's what this is about. But I advise you as well to sort of think about it from a perspective of what is it that you are trying to achieve. Like I said, you're trying to create a business, a brand, a product, a service. How do you see, these conversations helping you achieve what it is that you want to achieve? Leave something in the comment here if you want. Join the community, and you can have a bit more of a deeper conversations. For this next, hour, 50 minutes, I really want to dive in and give you the background on exactly how this has been developing and how it helps me. So, why, we are doing these talks is because, again, let's get pretty clear on what's actually happening. We're going through a transformative time on the planet. We're beginning to understand that it's not enough for us just to keep doing the same thing and expecting things to change. And we're going to have to change our mindsets about what it is that we do. For instance, I'll use the music business as a sort of case study. The music business has completely been overhauled. If you're a producer, a DJ, a master, and whatever it is that you are doing in the music business, you must have seen the business completely change. Is it the right thing to do to stay the same and hoping that was going to change back to where it was, right? Have you got your head buried in the sand thinking, I don't know what to do, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and hopefully people will start finding me, buying my products, and I can make a living out of it while I do a full-time job? It's totally unrealistic. It's not going to happen. It's never happened before, and it won't happen in the future. The constant in these conversations is change. The constant in these conversations is reinvention. That's why I keep talking about the same thing. We are in the era of total transformation, total reinvention. All industries will be affected by AI within the next 2 years, if they're not already. All industries, right? All industries are affected by social media, by technology, by the internet. Where are you on that spectrum of change? Have you embraced it? Are you standing on the sidelines thinking that it's going to come back around and things will eventually come back around to the way that I think, or the way that hasn't happened. That's not happening. And so what you've got to do, you're the one that has to upgrade. You're the one that has to reinvent yourself. And why is reinvention such a hard thing to grapple with? First of all, it's not clear how to do it. Second of all, when you do figure out how to do it and you actually realize what reinvention is and what transformation really is, it's scary, because all of a sudden what's involved in it, what you really need to do, what you really need to understand, completely disrupts your way of life, completely disrupts the harmonious relationship you have with your friends, your peers, your family. To do true transformation, to do true innovation, it means disruption. And by nature, the disruption is uncomfortable for us human beings, right? Because we like stability, we like security, we like certainty. And when we're going down this new road, we get uncertainty, we get unclarity, we get fear, right? And we all of a sudden, we try to preserve what it is that we have. And so we see a risk of what we have. We see it becoming a risk to lose that. But a risk to lose what? To gain what? So we focus so much on what we're going to lose, we don't focus on what we're going to gain. And so this is about creators and creativity. And so I know there's lots of people on there, music producers, but now you've got to focus on becoming an entrepreneur, right? And if you haven't figured that out yet, look at your sales, look at your business. Like if you're thinking from a business perspective, I was the same. I thought I was just a DJ. I thought I was just a producer, and I'll get a bit more into my story in a minute. But it's not enough anymore, right? I've had to reinvent myself. I've had to transform my business, the way that I think about things. I've had to see, something that was just for pleasure and for, something that I was really good at. I've had to dive into the other side of it and really understand. I'm in the music business. I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm in the media business. There's business at the end of it, or industry at the end of it. And so you can't just do the music or the media thing and think that you're going to make progress. Now we have to understand we are our own business, we are our own CEOs, we are our own leaders, and we cannot sit on the sidelines thinking that these platforms have got our best interests. These simple tools and techniques, they're good, they're tactics at best, right? The strategy though is to learn and educate yourself, is to get the knowledge that you need to take your life and your business, your service or your product to that next level. This isn't a casual thing. This needs to be focused and deliberate, right? And it's not something that you're going to stumble on and get lucky at. You need to really pay attention to it. If you are serious about having a career in any creative industries, the competition, this is why this is important, the competition is doing what I'm saying to do. The competition, your competition, people who are competing for the same audience, the same space, the same revenue, the same market share, they are doing what I'm suggesting to do now. They're taking it very, very seriously. They're studying, they're doing night classes, they're going on courses, they're doing workshops, and they're developing themselves. And if you've been around long enough, if you're over 30, if you're over 40, you've seen this pattern before. When we had to upskill, when the internet landed, right? It wasn't enough to just keep thinking that you're going to have a brick and mortar business, and especially in the beginning when it took out the music business, like almost in less than 2 years, it went from vinyl to CDs to MP3s and digital, wiped out a lot of people, wiped out a lot of businesses because we weren't ready for it, right? That's what's happening now with this shift. Like you have to understand where you are on this spectrum and how you see yourself developing. Do you want to keep believing that it's not happening to you, just like we did when we thought digital was going to affect our business, and it didn't for a long time, and then all of a sudden it seemed like overnight, whoosh, the whole business changed. Digital just took over, vinyl sales almost vanished, and our business struggled for a while till we understood how to level up and take that to the next level. Now is an opportunity to get into a situation where you can anticipate this. You don't have to get crushed by the wave. You can be smart, get the surfboard out and ride the wave, right? That's what these sessions are about. They're highlighting what is happening right now and what's going to happen for the next 5 years. We are in transition. We are in an economic downturn, but it doesn't mean that there isn't any opportunities, and it doesn't mean that you can't use creativity, your ideas, your intuition, and create something that's going to take your life to where it wants to be. But you've got to be strategic about it. You've got to sit down and start planning and thinking, and that's what these sessions are about. This is what Adapt the Canvas is about. It's about helping you guys think differently about what it is that you want to do and make a living doing it, right? And it's not something that you can do overnight, but it's something that you can develop over time and get really good at it. And then once you get good at it, then you'll be able to have an understanding of how to spot these things as they come. And that's the thing, right? It's not like, oh, this is a one time and done deal. This is about constantly evolving, constantly reevaluating, constantly reinventing, continuously. Right? That's what this is about. Getting you into the mindset of being able to upgrade, understand change, see the patterns, see the trends, notice. Like, think about it. Look at fashion trends. Fashion trends, we see them. Yes, young Ed. We see these fashion trends come and go, but they're cyclical. We see these business trends come and go. They're cyclical. right? We're seeing a lot of stuff that's happened on a cycle that if you're observant enough and you live long enough, you see the patterns all the time, right? And that's what this is about, understanding and seeing those patterns. So, why does reinvention make sense? Because it's the only choice. If you are trying to create a business that's sustainable for your career, if you're a creator, the only way to stay relevant is to have a system where you can continually reinvent yourself and be ahead of the curve. Not too far in front that you lose people, but just enough in front that you can keep people excited, right? And that's the trick here with being a creator. You don't want to be too out there that you lose people. You're so creative and arty that people don't get it. You want to be just ahead of the curve so that it's still exciting. People will have that sort of childlike wonder and they're curious enough to come in and ask you more about what it is that you're doing and they find that exciting. So a little bit about my background and how this occurred for me. So, I remember one evening at a full cycle night. It was one of our club nights, and I remember just standing there with, my back against the wall, watching everybody enjoy themselves, and I was just like standing up against the wall, just like asking myself this question. I was looking around, and I should be happy. This should be like one of the best times of my life. But instead, I'm just thinking to myself, what's happening? Why aren't I enjoying this? I'm part of one of the best, labels on the planet. I've just helped reinvent a genre of music. I just got back from an American tour. I've worked with some big American people. I'm signed to a label in London, Talking Loud. I'm signed to Def Jam in America. I've got money. I've got a house. I've got a car. I've got all the trappings of success. But I'm standing in this corner, unhappy. And the only thing that can come to my mind, the only thing I can keep thinking of is this one question. Is this it? Is this what you've worked the last 10 years of your life for? The last 12 years of your life for? Is this it? And if truth be told, I was kind of, this question wasn't new. I was asking these questions maybe 2 years before, but I was kind of in denial. I didn't want to admit that there was something wrong. I didn't want to admit that everything that I created wasn't making me happy. So I was kind of faking it. I wasn't allowing, people would ask me what was going on. I would pretend, yeah, I'm good, I'm great. But really I wasn't. And there was something going on inside me that I didn't understand. I thought my life was about all these things that I created. I was successful. I'd done all these things. And yeah, I was at the top of the game, but I wasn't happy. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I just did what any normal person would do. I just dug deeper. I just thought I'll just ignore it, right? I'll carry on because, that's what you do. When you don't figure it out, you just carry on. And that's what I was. I was like, macho man, dig deeper, try harder. There's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Just you're not trying to enjoy it enough. And so I did that. And then, like I said, 2 years later, I'm standing in the club. It hadn't worked. It hadn't worked. And so I was standing there looking at everybody else enjoying themselves, asking this question, is this it? Right? Is this it? And so, what was going on for me? What was going on is that I was going through something that I didn't have language for at the time. And so fast forward, I've came up with this framework to help other people who are going through something similar. And I've been helping other creatives going through something similar. And so the first thing that comes up when I talk about this stuff is like, is it a breakdown or a breakthrough? And what do I mean? Well, classically we term this phrase like when something's going wrong, it's like, you know, something's breaking down. You're having a breakdown. Well, what's a breakdown, right? Breakdown means that some idea that you've been holding for long periods of time doesn't work anymore, right? So of course there's going to be some kind of breakdown, but is it a breakdown that you can get through? Is it a breakdown that's going to break you? I was operating through a system that wasn't sustainable anymore, and I was holding on to it because I didn't want to let it go, because I didn't know what to do next, right? So I had built up all of this stuff around who I was. I built up all this stuff around the security that I needed to be who I was. I built up all this stuff around this whole idea of who K was or who DJ Crust was, right? So of course that structure isn't going to last very long, because that was built for the time that it was built in. And if change is the only constant, if change is the only thing that's moving all the time, then why aren't I changing with it? Because I didn't know how to, right? I didn't know how. I was what most creators come to me when they say, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do next. And so I didn't know what to do next. And I did know just to keep holding on. That's what I knew. That was my familiar thing. That was my safety net to keep on doing what I did. Keep playing, keep accepting gigs, keep doing remixes. But what was happening? My work rate was diminishing. My passion, excitement, and creativity was diminishing. The stress and anxiety of trying to keep something going that wasn't working was having the opposite effect. I wasn't becoming better, I was getting worse. I was becoming more stressed out, I was getting more and more anxious, and it wasn't working. Why wasn't it working? Because I didn't know how to face this inevitable truth that part of my life was over, right? And so we've all been there. When you've had to make a change and you were not ready to make a change, or you don't believe that you're ready to make a change, what do? You hold on to what you know. Typical human behavior. We want safety and security. I certainly wanted safety and security. So the best thing I could have done at that time, or I was doing at that time, was just holding on. I was holding on. Everything around me though was breaking down. Right? It was all breaking down. The way that I framed it though, the way that I changed it around was, I looked at what was breaking down. Okay, I was like, well, what do you mean? What's breaking down? Well, what's breaking down? Well, the old self is breaking down, right? The old self is breaking down. Buckminster Fuller said, you cannot fight against the prevailing system. What you do is you create a better system that's more superior than the one you're in now, and it's an easy transition. And the simplest way to explain that is think about the iPhone. The iPhone, when it came out, it was a superior device to whatever device was going around. I was using Nokia's a lot. But when I saw the iPhone, it was superior in every single way. So there wasn't like a hard sell. I immediately jumped onto that next platform because it was much better. Why was I having so much trouble leaving, my old self behind? Is because I didn't have the new self set up yet. So of course it felt like a breakdown. Of course it felt like the worst possible thing was happening, because when the mind isn't programmed to see the next steps, it says no. And what happens when the mind says no? You go into peripheral vision, survival mode. Keep your head down. That's what I did. Keep going and keep doing the same thing. That's what I was doing. Typical survival traits. I was certain that I was going to keep on doing the same thing and getting the same stuff. That gave me certainty, because having the breakdown, I was uncertain about my future. I couldn't see the future. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I wasn't going to take any steps. I wasn't going to do anything new. I wanted security and safety. So I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to keep on doing the same thing. There wasn't any clarity. There was clarity about me doing the exact same thing, because that's my habit. That's my program. I could do the same thing easily. So I kept on doing the same thing. It gives me security, right? The new thing, there was no idea, there was no pathway yet. So it gives me insecurity. I'm scared. I'm worried, I'm anxious. What does that do to my creativity? I told you my work rate went down, the quality of my work rate went down. That's because I'm in focus mode of survival. I'm not in peripheral, I'm not in creative mode. So I'm not being better, I'm not doing more work. I'm still producing work, but it's at a lower quality. Now my work's being affected. Now my output's being affected. Now the quality of my products and services being affected. Now that's affecting my ability to earn more money, to get new work, because all of a sudden, boodoosh, it's all collapsing. It's all coming down around me. I don't have an answer. I don't have a solution. So of course I'm going to keep doubling down, thinking more. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to be more stressed. I'm not going to be in flow. Right? I'm not going to be in flow. So the classic idea about what that structure is yeah, on the outside, it looks like K, it looks like crust is having a breakdown. And yes, I was breaking down, but let's reframe that. It was the old self that's breaking down, not me. Who I am is not my old self. And we get a little bit more into this in a sec, but that's not who I am, that's what I was. And to the degree I was willing to allow that structure to break down, something was going to break through. So again, is it a breakdown or a breakthrough, or is it a breakdown to break through? Right? And this is the shift that needs to happen in our own selves to understand that what we're trying to achieve might not be the end of us. So we don't need to hold on to this old idea. So what's going on that leads that into this system that I call the 3 I's, right? So the 3 I system, if you imagine a triangle, with in the middle of the triangle we write RAS, and it stands for Reticular Activating System. And on the top we have imagination, on this side we have instinct, and on this side we have intuition. This is the structure of change at its fundamental level. When they talk about the law of attraction, this is the fundamental structure that holds this whole idea together. When this is not intact, this is why people struggle. Because we get down to the next section, and reason why I was having trouble understanding where I was going, and so I allowed this whole thing to break down and fight it for so long, is because of the next structure that we need to get through, which is fear of the unknown. So what's fear of the unknown? A habit. Practiced loops, practiced patterns that continually are being reinforced by the same pattern. So you say fear of the unknown, but what is that? Well, most people don't know. That's why it's the unknown, right? We have a fear of what we don't know, right? You have a fear of something that's not clear, and that's what I had. Remember, I said I couldn't see. I didn't know what was next. I didn't have any certainty on what was next. I didn't have clarity on what was next. When your mind can't see what needs to happen next, it says no. And that's where we have the whole thing about procrastination. What's procrastination? Waiting for the right time to do something, hoping that there's a situation where it becomes less risky or easier. And what happens? It doesn't, and you procrastinate more. So that's what I was doing for those 2 years. I thought that this feeling would subside and rectify itself. You know as well as I do that that was never going to happen. When has these situations resolved themselves? Only one time, only one specific case those situations resolve themselves is when something even more pressing comes in. You haven't resolved it. It's just that something more pressing comes in, so that takes your attention. So once that takes your attention, you put that back to the back of your mind. You haven't resolved it. You just put that back because something else is taking your attention. That's even more challenging or just as challenging. And so, let's just focus on this now. You distract yourself with another problem. right? It's like solving problems by creating another problem. You haven't gone through that yet. So what is the unknown? It's a habit. So what is the habit that we're trying to avoid? We're trying to avoid discomfort, because the unknown by itself is a place that we don't know, that historically is being presented as like the worst possible scenario. Oh, you don't want to go down in the unknown. I'll tell you what's down in the unknown. Resources. What do you mean by resources? Well, where does everything come from? Your imagination. Where do you think your imagination is? Where do you think your instincts is? Where do you think your intuition is? It's in the unknown, where nothing is. And because nothing's there, it's nourishing. Out of nothing comes something. In nothing is all of everything, is where the resources are. Think about it. We've all been there. We've all been in a space where an idea has just popped to us. Where does that come from? We've all been in a space where we've figured out how to solve something by doing something different, by sleeping on it, by being around people, by being in a shower, by taking a bath, by going on a walk on the beach or being in the forest. Where does those ideas come from? It comes from settling your anxiousness, settling your mind, and allowing the unknown, your unconscious, to come up. And it speaks to you in ideas, using your imagination, your instinct, and your intuition. And it connects with your RAS, your reticular activating system, which is your natural GPS. And when that happens, you get an idea to do something. Right? You find a way to open a new doorway. Right? And you open this new doorway and it leads to a new space. And while you're in this new space, you look around and you think that this is it. Because the challenge is knowing that you have to make a choice. Even if you stay still, that's still a choice. Right? You've got to make a decision. You've got to make a choice. What we tried to do, what I was doing was, I was making a choice, but it was the same one. I thought I was staying safe, but I was actually increasing my risks of not actually making any progress by staying the same, because the universe was moving. Change was happening. Transformation was happening. Innovation was happening, but I was choosing to stand still, hoping that for some reason, beyond my knowledge that I was able to, deal with at the time, that something was going to change for me, instead of me being the catalyst to change. So the door was there, I just was afraid to open it. So I didn't want to see what was behind the door. Right? And I knew it was just another room, because I was already in a room. Right? So there was a doorway. I opened that doorway, and guess what? I'm in another room. But this time, there's lots of doors in this room. Infinite choice. Infinite opportunity. Right? People say, well, which door do you choose? That's the next logical question that people say. What door should I choose? Which is the right one to choose? The answer is there isn't a right one. There's just make a choice, go through a door, and once you have the skill set and the knowledge and the habits and the patterns and the beliefs, you're equipped to deal with whatever is on the other side of that door. This is why your instincts, your imagination, and intuition is so powerful, right? And that's why when we work in my private groups, this is the first thing that we develop, because without having that powerful mindset, there's nothing anyone will say to you afterwards will make any sense, because you won't trust it. You won't take the action. You won't do what needs to be done. So you can't learn strategies first. You have to learn mindset first, because you've got to change your beliefs, change your patterns, change what you believe. Right? And once you've done that, then you can deal with the next section that comes in. And this is where people really resist. And it's the crisis of identity, or is it the reinvention of the self? Which title would you prefer to describe your experience with? Crisis of identity, that's me making it sound a little bit better than midlife crisis, or, crisis of your midlife. Anything with that terminology, crisis, look how it makes you feel. Some of you are like cringing, tightening up. Maybe some of you got tightness in the stomach, tightness in the chest. Feel it. Think about what that language does when you hear that. Crisis, right? So think about the same language. Breakdown. What's coming up in your mind? This is language. This is what I was using to describe the situation. As in, it's no wonder it took me a long time to resolve it. I was going through this. I was about 38, and I was sort of having doing a little bit of research, and all I could see at that time was midlife crisis. Men go out and dump their wives and buy yellow hot rod Ferraris. I was like, my God, I'm going through a crisis. Who am I going to be if I'm not crust? Right? And so the crisis of identity is the shift of the old self to the new self. And for me, it was, if I'm not crust, who am I? Right? Where are you on your journey? What version of this is it for you? If you are not X, then who am I? And how does that really play out? Well, DJ Crust was the guy that made the money, was the guy that produced all the records, was the guy that bought the house, was the guy that bought the car, was the guy that, was getting the gigs, that was on tour, that signed the label. Everything that was to do with who I'd become and my survival was attached to this crust idea. So why am I going to leave this idea? For what? It wasn't clear where I was going, and so of course I'm going to hold on. Everything of who I am is tied into this idea. It took a long time to get to grips with that. And I know there's creators out there who, you want to do something next. You want to leave that job. You want to go self-employed. You've been self-employed, but you want to go to create a new version of your business. You want to expand your business. You want to finish an album. You want to finish a clothing brand. You want to reinvent yourself. You want to go live in somewhere else and create something. But you're stuck in this whole thing because this idea of who you are and the safety of who you are is so appealing. So you stay there, right? You don't have a framework to question what it is that's actually happening. And so it's taken me, what the framework was I've just broken down to you, that's taken me 10 years to figure out. 10 years of coaching and mentoring with my people to help them get through it so that I could really break it down in a language that everybody understands. And so if you get what I'm saying, leave a comment in there or join the community and tell me that you're getting it. It's resonating with you. You understand it. And to the degree that you understand it and it resonates with you, you can do something with it. Right? Because before, the transformation and the reinvention, it just seems like some words. Like, where do I go for this transformation? Where do I go for this reinvention? Like, who's doing this? What can I do? How do I do it? Right? And so the shift that needs to happen is the internal shift. It's the beliefs, it's the patterns, it's the habits, it's the knowledge, it's an inside job, right? And again, is it a breakdown or a breakthrough? Well, I have to break down the old self, so the old identity, right? I have to break that down because I'm holding on. And it wasn't until I created a superior system that I really realized that, hold on a minute, if I could create this crust character who's been able to achieve all of this, I still have that knowledge. Right? I still have that knowledge. And so maybe if I use some of this knowledge and understand how I created that, and then apply that to where I'm going next, maybe that will work. I know, let's experiment. And if you've been on any of my courses or my workshop, my talks, you know I love the year-long experiment. So that's what I did. I decided to experiment and dive into creating a new version of myself. And I've done it so many times that I've now created my newest version of myself, which is K, the CEO. And that's an evolution of me as a creator, DJ producer, into, a coach and mentor, back into, an entrepreneur, and now recognizing for this next part of my journey, I need to be the CEO of my company. I need to run the ship. And so the development of the self, is it scary? Of course it is. Is it easy? No. Is it simple? On paper. Can you do it? Yes. Is it easy to do it by yourself? It's challenging, but it can be done. Is it easy to do? Is it not easy, but would it be, what's the right word? Would it be more, accessible, or a way to do it in a group? Well, yes. If you're in a group, you've got accountability and you've got like-minded people around you supporting you. So I hope you can see what we're all up against, because even though I've been going through what I've been going through to rebuild myself, it's not a done deal. The journey's not done. There's still work to do, still got bigger challenges. At the moment, I've now built the platform, Adapt the Canvas community, and that is for the creators out there who recognize this story. You recognize that this is for you, that you are ready for this next evolution of your story. This is the place to go to be around other people who are transforming themselves, in a group of people that want to feel that support, that group of people that want to feel that connection and who want to know and learn how to do it. Because this is the new skill for life, becoming an entrepreneur. Why? Think about it. What is actually happening? If you just do the maths on where we are right now on planet Earth, where jobs are, where education is, where finance is, where economics is, where healthcare is, just times it by 10, 20, 30, and you'll get to a point where you'll see that the only thing that makes sense is you becoming self-sufficient, understanding how to manage your own self, how to build businesses, how to become economically independent, how to print your own money, how to be able to ride through any system. And here's the thing. I learned this from one of my mentors, and they said to me, this is the best time to create a business and understand that we are in economic winter. And if you can build a business, a successful business in economic winter, what's going to happen when you're in spring and in summer? You're going to fly through. So people think that you need good times to create and have a good business. There's a saying, good times create weak people. Weak people create hard times. Hard times create strong people. Right? So this system right now, you want to choose what you want. You don't want it to be easier. You want to become more tougher. You want to become more robust. You want to become more resilient. Why? Because if you can get through this time right now, which is really tough, we all are feeling it. We're all feeling a punch. We're all feeling a pinch, sorry. But the reality of it is, this is about having access to resources, imagination, instinct, intuition. How are you using that? What is your language patterns that you're using every day to describe the situation that you're in? That is predictive programming. You're programming yourself to have the reality that you either want or you don't want, using the language that you're using to describe your experience. Note that down. Journal on that. Right? Journal on that. What is it that you're going through every day that either you love or you're trying to get away from? Notice the language you're using to describe it. If you're going through your own transformation and you want support and you want help, join the community. This is what we're going to be doing for the foreseeable future. Why? Because it's not going to change. Right? This reality isn't going to change. There is going to be a point where you are done. There'll be a point where you'll create certain structures where you'll be able to take time off and get other people around you to help you and work for you and develop. But you'll have other ideas that you'll want to spend your time on and other challenges, right? So you don't want to just stop and say, "Oh, I'm done." That's not what this situation is about. There is no "I'm done." There's just "I want to get better," and there is no winning and losing. There's just winning and or learning, right? People say, "Well, I don't want to take the risk." Well, you're not risking anything if you learn from it, right? If you want to grow in this new economy that we find ourselves in, and listen, we are in a new economy. It's not going to go back to where we were before the pandemic. That's not happening. That changed the planet. It changed the economic system. It changed the financial system. It changed the the education system, and it changed the health and wellness system. We have to now find a new way to interweave our new lifestyles within these new constraints. But it's always been like that, right? It's always been like that. And so I can definitely say that I use all these tools and techniques to create jungle music. That's how I started, by being an outlier, by being on the outside, by understanding what the opportunities were. I looked at the canvas, and I saw there was only a few choices for me. Either I was going to go and get a 9 to 5, which I would have hated, I would never last in, or I was going to become, an entrepreneur at 14 and figure it out. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I did know enough to take one step forward. And so you don't need to know everything that you need to know. You just need to know that you want to take one step. What's the one step that you're going to take after this session right now? My advice would be to join our community. That's the first thing you should do if you're a creator and you're serious about living the life that you want. Join the community. Be around other like-minded people. And then start building from there. So, we're coming to the end of this session, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who's joined. Thank you to everybody who's left comments and who's been regularly showing up every week, joining. Thank you, everybody. Listen, guys, join the network, join the community, ATC community. Take this conversation, let's bring it onto the platform, and let's continue it. Let's take it to somewhere new. Upgrade your skills, upgrade your knowledge, upgrade your beliefs, patterns, and habits. Create something that is worthy of your time and your energy, something that's going to give you that brilliant, something that's going to give you something to sink your teeth into for the next 5 or 6 years. We all like a challenge. Despite what I just said, there was a challenge in there that I was trying to try and solve. There was a puzzle in that I was trying to solve. There was a challenge in there that I was trying to solve. And as I look back on it, it was the greatest challenge that I got through of my life. It could have went a number of ways. It could have went real ugly, and it did for a moment or two. But I came through it. And I learned so much, and this is what all this came from. This coaching that I'm doing, Adapt the Canvas, all came through that transition period of my life where I needed answers, and I figured out how to solve those, find a solutions for those problems. And so we don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be the lone wolf trying to figure it out yourself. Join the community, be around other people. Join the conversations, share, give your knowledge to the crew, gain knowledge from the crew, see where your life goes. Set some big goals, set some big tasks, set some big dreams, have a big vision of your life, and then figure out how to do it. I want to thank everybody for joining me for this episode of Adapt the Canvas. It's been, again, great for everybody that's been signing in, been following what we've been doing, and thank you to everybody who's signed up to newsletter. Thank you to everybody who's joined the community. I will be looking forward to seeing you on the platform. And if you join the platform today or tomorrow, you can come to the coffee morning on Friday. So we're going to do a coffee hour where we're going to just break bread. We'll have a two-way conversation. So it won't be me ranting for an hour. It will be us communicating. I'll be able to find out a bit about you, have a discussion about what your needs are and how we can work together, what the platform provides, and how you can engage with people on there. So this is the extension of that. It's more two-way as well. So I look forward to meeting some of you people on the community, ATC community, and growing, hearing your plans, and seeing how we can work together. So thank you for joining me for this episode of Adapt the Canvas. I'll see you next week. I'll see some of you maybe later on this afternoon on the platform, and definitely on Friday. But until then, have a great week. Namaste. And I will see you all next week. Fantastic.